relationships. Functional relationships are relationships that are moving towards harmonization. They're not moving us in dissension or in disunity or to be constantly in conflict. That's not what the intent, energetically speaking, for relationships. It's moving us towards harmonization. So when we think about that, I want you to think about the yin and yang symbol. The two obvious things in there is the masculine and feminine representation. The other part that might be obvious is within the masculine and feminine part, you see the opposite representation in it. So now what I'm saying is you have the masculine, but you see the feminine representation in there, and you see the feminine, you see the masculine representation in there, which means that we all have both these poles operating in ourselves energetically. We are moving towards harmonization in a relationship. A relationship is functional when it's more agreeing than disagreeing. Disagreeing is fine, but it's really in the agreeing. Now, how do we deal with when things disagree? We refer back to the yin and yang principle, the symbol, and look at the middle. The middle part represents the genderless factor, which is the androgynous piece, which is the middle, which is the neutral piece. So in the midst of harmonize our relationships, we have to learn how to become neutral when things are in disarray, when things are disagreeing, when there's conflicts that exist, so that way it can rectify itself and move back towards harmonization. I said at the pivot over here. So when we talk about harmonization, we know there's two factors, right? We know there's duality exists. We got agreeing and disagreeing in relationships, right? We have us moving towards harmony. Here's the key thing. Harmony, figuratively speaking, we're speaking of togetherness. But that togetherness cannot exist without the separateness. And this is where a lot of our conflicts and relationships come from, is that we try to restrict the separateness, in other words, the individuality in each other for the sake of togetherness. A lot of divorces end because a lot of times someone says, I lost myself. What are they saying? I lost my separateness. I lost my individuality for the sake of the relationship. No relationship should be canceling out your individuality. It should be embracing and allowing that and enhancing that individuality to move more towards the togetherness if you truly have the true attraction and the resonance that should exist, which is why we're in a relationship. So the two factors that we got to pay attention to in a relationship is the togetherness piece and the separateness piece. We're not ready to move forward and elevate our relationships if we are constantly trying to attack or trying to belittle or trying to restrict people in their individuality. There has to be an elevated intent in ourselves to welcome the individuality, so that way it strengthens the togetherness. We're not seeing relationships being strengthened because the separateness piece is constantly being weakened. So it begins from the separateness. The strength begins from our individuality. That refers to us embracing our true truths in terms of how we want to relate. What is the relational arrangement that's fitting for you, that welcomes and is confirming your soul choice around your soul truth? You have to do that. And then also, hopefully, your partner or partners you're exchanging that with, y'all can reflect that, so that way y'all can have what? A healthy and a functional togetherness in your relationship.